Hey everyone, so I hope that we are live right now. Hello everyone, this is Sai Kiran from Let's Upgrade, and I hope that you all guys are live right now. Hey everyone, you all can listen me up properly. Whoa, 500 people are there who want to learn with us right now JavaScript, and we all are here right now to teach you this JavaScript from the essential, from the very beginning. Okay, so this is Sai Kiran from Let's Upgrade, and I'm the director at Let's Upgrade. Now we are also having your faculty in the backstage right now. Before they come into the picture, I just want to introduce you to few stuff. Then we will be going ahead. Okay. So first of all, first and foremost thing which I want to ask every one of you right now, every one of each one of you, from where you guys are joining us today right now. From which all cities you guys are joining us right now. Just put that one small thing in. The chat. I am looking into the chat right now. Hey, 600 students of Let's Upgrade JavaScript batch 2. Okay. So from which all cities you guys are joining us right now? Just please tell us. Indore. Okay. Nisha is from like Indore, and Venkatesh is from like Hyderabad, and Pradeep Jairam is from Chennai, and okay, and one more question. Okay, one more quick question which I want to ask. Okay, so before I get into the your direct course material and all these things. Okay, so one more question is, from where you got to know about us, from where, which location you got to know about this JavaScript program, and how you got to know this whole JavaScript program is happening with Let's Upgrade. Okay, so are you guys excited about learning JavaScript along with us? I mean, what are you expecting out of this whole JavaScript program? And we will be introducing you to your professor for this whole program, Saurabh sir. And it's gonna happen just in like 2-3 minutes max. And in the meantime, I'm like looking into your portal. Okay, not many of people are saying friends, YouTube, Insta, so email. So these are the 4 places from where you guys have got to know about us. So yes, now let's go ahead and start this whole program. Okay, so I would like to now add Saurabh sir into the stream. So Saurabh sir, hi Saurabh sir. So Saurabh sir, you are live right now. Hello Saurabh
Yeah,
sir.
hello. Hi, hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you totally fine, totally
Okay,
properly.
that's good. That's good.
Okay, so Saurabh sir is going to be your professor for JavaScript, guys, and he is very much experienced in like training people at the same time in lot much of technologies, and he is very much passionate about JavaScript and the related technologies in JavaScript. Not only JavaScript, even other furthermore technologies. He is very much interested and works with that. He's currently a working professional, working in some organization, but at the same time he is now going to dedicate his time to train each one of you here the JavaScript. Okay, so just say hi to Saurabh sir in your chat, right? Hi Saurabh sir. So that's what, now you look into the chat once, and
Yeah,
these people
I
are
can
like
see from my PC.
fully blasting up the chat right now. Okay guys, so the first and foremost thing what we will be doing is, I'll be showing you the whole course introduction, who will get certification, how one can get certified, and all these part. Okay, so before going into that, I just want to share my screen, and as I share my screen, I will be telling you about these all aspects and how many days this class is going to be, and how you can join this whole program. So these all aspects I will show. I will just give you the program overview, then I will handle the whole like session to Saurabh sir. He will be going ahead and he will be taking up the whole program for you always. Okay, is it clear, every one of you? Can we go ahead? Can we go ahead? Just I need a small go ahead from every one of you in the chat. And okay, so the number one rule at Let's Upgrade is be hyperactive. Okay, be hyperactive, guys, every one of you. And we ask questions after every 10 minutes. We will tell you that when to ask your questions and all. So Saurabh sir will be teaching you few stuffs, and you can ask him questions after every 10 minutes. He will look into that, and after every 10 minutes, he will give 2-3 minutes of time to answer your all the doubts. Okay, so now let's go ahead and share my screen. Just 1 minute. I'm just sharing my screen right now. I hope that you all guys can see my screen right now. Okay, can you see my screen right now, guys? Every one of you? Just 1 minute. Okay, so you all guys can see my screen, right? Yes. Okay. So Let's Upgrade as a startup. It's an edtech startup which focuses fully on upskilling and revamping 10 million people in IT education in upcoming 10 years. Our goal is that we want to upgrade and upskill 10 million people in all the IT fields, whatever it is. So that's what Let's Upgrade's core vision and mission is. And now, keeping that core vision and mission, we are launching this JavaScript program for each one of you to upgrade for free of cost in the essential segment at least. Okay, so the number one thing how you all guys are gonna put your attendance is this. Just go ahead. This is the for the first day. Okay, for the first day, how we ask you all guys to put attendances. Just take a screenshot of our this stream right now. Just take a screenshot of this stream right now, and as soon as you take this screenshot of this stream right now, just post it in your Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, anywhere that you have started learning with us, because we also want to be known by many of your people. So for that reason, please just go ahead, do it. It's optional, guys, although, but I will insist you all to do that part. Okay, so that's the thing. Now use our handles, tag let's upgrade, tag, I mean our hashtags and all, we will be able to get that. Now the number one question for every one of you right now will be, who will get certificate and from where? Okay, the number one question every one of you guys are gonna have right now is, who is going to give me certificate and from where I'm gonna get certificate after completing this program. So the certificate will look like this. Okay, it will have a license number. So using your license number, you all guys can be, okay, so you all guys can actually go and verify it on like letsupgrade.in/verify. This is what the whole title of the certification is. This is I mean, you will be getting certified jointly with ITM group of institutions, NSDC and Skill India and Let's Upgrade. So this is what the whole certification will look like. And what you have to do is like, you have to submit all your assignments on time. First rule, you have to submit all your assignments on time. Second is, you have to update all your attendance on time. Whenever you're watching the video, are you watching in recorded? Are you watching it in live? Whenever you're watching the video, you have to watch the whole video, complete your attendance, and attendance form will be inside your description. For this session, we will put the attendance form after, like what we say, once we reach that 30 minutes ka mark and all, that will start reflecting in your description. Okay, for overview, you don't have to put attendance. As soon as your class will start, we will give you the attendance form in the description and also in the chat. You can just go and fill it up. Okay, and even if you're watching it in live or you're watching it in recording, you can actually go and fill this attendance form any point of time. Okay, after completing the program, before starting the program, you can do. Every day we'll have an attendance form just for that. Now, how to join every day's class? Although we will be sending you batch reminders, but at the same time, you all have to go and subscribe to this YouTube channel right away, so that you all guys can get the notification into your directly for the JavaScript batch. Okay, whenever there is a class, whenever Saurabh sir is going to take a class on the weekends, okay, it will be happening in the weekends, guys. Okay, Saturday, Sunday is only what your timings will be, and 12 p.m. to what we say 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. is the max timing. We follow 90 minutes pattern, but at the same time, 90 minutes we will teach you, and 30 minutes we can take your question answers. Something like that. It's a blend of these all. Blended for these all things. Okay, so that 30 minutes will be coming in between where you can ask your questions. Okay, so I hope that it is all clear. Till now everyone is clear. Till now every one of you is clear. Hey guys, till now every one of you is clear. YouTube live, just go and subscribe right away. That's the way you can get this. Now let us get to, like, now we are sorted with our certification, from where we will get, who will get that certification. And yes, one more thing, for getting the certification, you have to submit all the assignments, attendance, and third thing is complete the exam. We will host one exam, online exam. It will be one MCQ plus program based exam, which you all guys need to like what is it, complete. As soon as you guys complete that exam, you will be getting certificate. Clear? And certification you will get in like 7 days of completing your exam. That's the commitment from our side. Okay, so I hope that I'm clear till here. Now let us now move on to the program stuff, the actual program stuff. Okay, so what is one really cool thing about JavaScript that made you join this program today? I want to know these all reasons right now in the chat. So what are you guys expectations, what are you guys are expecting out of this program, and why you joined JavaScript this program? I want to know that thing right now in the chat. So please tell me in the chat right now why you have joined this program. Then I will give you the motivation. Let's set our motivation. Okay, we will then go and we will set our motivation. But before that, I want to know that what are reasons why you came and you're joining this program. Okay, it helps in becoming full stack developer. Okay, for full stack, Node.js, highly elegant, JavaScript is everywhere. Okay, JavaScript is everywhere. Shanu KS mentioned it. Okay, yes, she's mentioning web development. Then afterwards, Lavani is creating technical skills. Okay, web development. Every one of you are mentioning web development. Cause of mean stack. Okay, so mean stack is one more reason, and that is mean stack, full stack, or mono stack. These all stacks. Because of these stacks, you want. One more a nice answer is Hrithik has mentioned React JS. Okay, so to learn web technology, huh? So Tenal, okay, Venkat Sai Rohit, you have mentioned something very funny. To get married, you want to learn JavaScript. Wow, amazing. I don't know why you want to get. And one more is like Tanashri Mathur has mentioned like to become what we say hottest language in demand. Okay, so okay, coding is fun. It's widely used in programming language. Guys, just go and subscribe to this channel if at all you want to get notified daily. Now, first of all, let us set our motivation. Okay, why we should be learning? Why we guys want you to learn this whole part? Okay, so let me just start sharing my screen fully. Just 1 minute. I'll share my screen whole. Okay, so now I think you guys are able to see. First and foremost thing why anyone get into education is because of the jobs. Okay, for international website of our Indian job portal is that is naukri.com. Let us go to Naukri and let us put JavaScript here. Okay, so let us just put JavaScript here and let us search how many jobs are available in JavaScript. So these many jobs are actually available in JavaScript. The number one reason why these are the minimum jobs which are available in JavaScript. Okay, so this is the first of all motivation why you should be learning JavaScript. Okay, so not only that, let us now one more thing. Okay, so now you guys will say, "Sir, job though, like jobs are there, but at the same time, the biggest reason should be money." Okay, so what's the money we will be getting if at all we learn this skill? So this is what the blend of this money is. I will just take a small screenshot. Okay, so and I'll put this screenshot here. This is our motivation why we should be learning JavaScript. Okay, so this is the whole, I mean, in front of you I have just made one small survey that is like these many jobs are available. See, 30,000 jobs are available in between of 3 to 6 lakhs package, and 6 to 10 lakhs package, 35,000 jobs are available. 10 to 15 lakhs package, 17,000 jobs are available. Okay, so this is the number one motivation. The number two motivation is you can actually get into these all other technologies, like you can get into cloud, you can get into like mean stack, you can get into full stack. If at all I will keep on adding, right, you will easily find more than 5 lakh jobs which are available right now if at all you know JavaScript. Got it? Clear? Have you got it right now? Like fully got it? Why you should be learning JavaScript? It is for more than 5 lakh jobs in India right now, which is there. Not only that, I want to go to one more thing, that is Stack Overflow. The motivation setting is the first of all thing which we should do whenever we are getting into before getting into any kind of program. Okay, so now we will just go into Stack Overflow. I hope that every one of you know what is Stack Overflow. How many of you know what is Stack Overflow? Tell me guys right now. Just write down Stack Overflow Jindabad if you know that what is Stack Overflow. Okay, so now in this Stack Overflow releases what we say every year this annual survey. So in this survey of Stack Overflow, they have just mentioned here most popular language. Okay, so the most popular language number one is JavaScript. So this is the number one reason why you all should be learning what we say JavaScript right now, and then comes the Python, and then these all. Okay, now also if at all you go with professional developers, still it is the number one. So this is why you should be learning JavaScript right now, and this is why you should be learning JavaScript along with Saurabh sir. Okay, so I think is your motivation set right now? Every one of your motivation is set right now. Tell me this one small thing. Every one of your motivation is set right now. Just tell me that thing in your chat. Just 1 minute. Okay, so let me keep it. Is your motivation set right now, guys? This is the two motivations why you all should be learning JavaScript. Okay, so yes, now let's go into it. Let's get into our learning wala stuff. Now, I mean, from here, I will give on the whole session to, I mean, Saurabh sir, because till now it was like all about me introducing you all guys to what all things are there in JavaScript. And yes, guys, we have a community where you can actually go and ask all your questions. First, we have what we say, we have a place that is Telegram group where you can actually get in touch with us. All the links will be given in the description. Okay, any kind of problem, reach out to us. We will make sure that it is solved to every one of you. And that's the way. That's what LetsUpgraders. You all are LetsUpgraders from today as you're attending this class. All the 855 people, all the students, you all are LetsUpgraders. Just make sure that you all are doing amazing. Okay, only one thing it is, until unless you're not getting the topic, we will 100% do everything to get you into that topic. Okay, so we will do everything to just train you in that topic. So be with us, tell us whatever you want, we will do it. Clear? Chalo. Now from my side, I will be now talking less. I will be also there in the backstage, but now I will hand over this whole session to Saurabh sir. Saurabh sir is way more experienced than like what we say in teaching like something, and he will be like taking all the concepts so easily in a very real time example. So I have got so much of like I heard about him a lot, and that's what it is now. Hello, Saurabh sir. So
Hello,
are we ready
hello.
to take the class?
Yeah, I'm totally ready.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think now let's go ahead, sir. Now I think I'll just you can share the screen using this I think StreamYard. You got it right, sharing the screen
Yes,
option.
yes, I'm very good.
Yes, and sir, can you be just a little bit louder because uh,
I'll
yes,
use
I
my
think
one. Just
yes, yes, yes. So it is like there is a little bit of like audio and all. And one more thing, guys. Hey, what, like any attendance? You all have to give your attendance using your what we say using your this portal. Like in the Google form, you all have to do it. Okay, Saurabh, so shall I share your screen right now into the stream?
yeah, of course.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay, so right now, hey guys, you all guys are able to see Sir's screen, right? We will be zooming it out. Don't worry about it. Recording sessions will be provided. Don't worry about it. Recordings will be there. You all can actually be a part of our recordings any point of time. And today's session is going to be, I think, only 1 hour, right, sir? Today's session.
Yeah. It's all introduction and everything.
Okay, it's all
So
about
some basic
introduction.
things, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey guys, I think it's not totally clear to you all. I mean the audio and all. Okay. If audio check is done, just tell me audio check.
Yep,
AV done.
yes.
Okay.
Like if I'm audible and everything. If I'm
Yes.
audible
Yes.
to everyone.
Yes. 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 I mean you're audible to me, but I was just asking them.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I will now just be backstage. Now you can take it ahead, and you can now continue. I will be there here, but I will be coming in between. Okay.
Okay. So sure. It's fine.
Yes. Yes. Okay, guys.
Okay, guys. Like, am I audible? Mic testing, yes. Audio not totally clear, but it's okay. Okay. Am I audible now completely? Okay, then that's totally fine, but not clear. Okay, I'll do something for it.
So yes, in the meantime, Sir is fixing it out. So yes, now in the meantime, I can ask you one more question, guys. Uh, how many of you are students and how many of you are working professional? Although we will be asking you guys this question in while in the attendance form also. But how many of you are like what we say students here from which all places? Yes, Saurabh. So now you can test it once.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Now you're totally audible, completely audible.
Everyone?
Yes, I think. Yes, sir. I think that now you are fully audible.
Yes. Okay, that's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah. So, hello guys, my name is Saurabh Gupta and I'll be taking your JavaScript lecture, the whole batch actually. So, before starting it, I'll just say like this is the first time I'm taking a live streaming lecture. So, I have taken a lot of lectures in previous times. So, cooperate with me and if any problem, please help me in that. Fine. So today we are here to talk about JavaScript. So as you can see, my first screen I have mentioned JavaScript, and that's it is. It's JavaScript. And as you can see, I have given it a title, the coolest language to ever exist. And actually, it is the coolest language to ever exist. Now, when I say JavaScript, so if you remember, like in your college days or in my college days, when I was learning, it was told like JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. Now what we'll do is we'll understand JavaScript in phases of how it was developed, like how it was treated like 2 3 years back and how it is treated now. So when we started, JavaScript was basically known as a client-side scripting language. Now, what do you mean by client-side scripting language? Or actually, what do you mean by client-side? So I guess that I assume that basically you know some kind of HTML and CSS before starting it because to learn JavaScript, at least minimum requirement is like you should know HTML and CSS. So I'm assuming that you know HTML and CSS. So, and you're familiar with the terms like websites and web pages. Halaki, I'll like let you know everything. I'll teach you everything, whatever you don't know. So, before starting JavaScript, I'll just share an image. So, I feel that everyone knows how basically a website works. Fine. So, a website is basically made with some languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Explain you in very detail in few lectures, but just for today's understanding, just for understanding few things, I'll be explaining all this to you. So when I say a website is basically a collection of web pages, right? As you people know, a website is basically a collection of web pages, and that web pages are basically made with the help of languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It can be PHP, Python, Java in the backend, anything like it can be anything. But once the website is made using all these languages, it is put on a server. Now, basically, when I say server, what is a server? So, for a basic understanding, a server is nothing but a computer. That's all. Like when we assume server, we think it of like something a very big thing or something out of this world. But actually, it's not. A server is basically a computer that has the ability to transfer data and receive data from anywhere in the world. So, like we have a computer, but our computer is not able to transfer or show data anywhere in the world. But if we are able to make it like that, our computer can also work as a server. So basically, what we do is whenever we create a website using files, we we put all the files on a computer online on a server. And now what happens is like this, something like this. Let's say this is a server. This area completely is server. It's basically a computer, and it is containing all my files like HTML file, PHP file. It can also be CSS file, JavaScript file, and everything. And now this is my computer. That is basically not a server. It is my normal computer that I have in my home. So what happens is I just go inside a browser like something like this. Let's say I just go inside a browser and I type www.google.com. Now basically this is a address. This is a domain name that I have given to my website. So when I do www.google.com, a web page comes up here. So what exactly happens, I'll show you by this image. Whenever I put an address in my client side, I put in basically www.google.com. It sends an HTTP request to the server. Now the server looks for the address and finds the file stored for that particular address. And whatever files are stored for that particular address are given as a response to my client, and I can see it. And that's it. That's how it works. So basically, if I make a website and I have to publish it, what I do, I take all my files, put it on a computer that is connected to everywhere in the world. That is basically a server. I put it there, and basically I also like buy or create an address and attach it to my web server that I have bought. And what happens is whenever someone puts that address in their particular browser, every file comes and you can like see it on your particular browser. So that's how the client and server communication works. Like it's just like this: request, response, and it goes on. So now, when I say like JavaScript is a client-side language, client-side scripting language, what does it mean? So we create HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file, put it on the server. Now what happens is when I put my address, I load each and every file in my computer in the response when I like get all the things. Now what happens is let's bifurcate it by this thing. Like there is a PHP file and there is let's assume it like this. There is a PHP file and there's a JavaScript file. Both are doing something in my website. JavaScript is doing something and PHP is doing something. Now, what is the difference? I have loaded both the files in my computer, but what happens is whatever is happening with PHP, like you know, everything that happens in our computer uses our computer's CPU, uses our computer's memory and everything. So whatever functions the PHP file is performing, it happens on the server. But whatever function a JavaScript code or a JavaScript file is performing, it happens on the particular client that the website is loaded on. So for example, I have loaded www.google.com. Fine. So whatever function the JavaScript of that website is performing will use my computer's memory, my computer's CPU cycles and everything. So This is why JavaScript is known as a client-side language. So JavaScript files are stored on the server, but when they are loaded, they use your computer's memory and everything for their working, for the functionalities. And that's why it is so fast. Because a single server is not taking a look. Let's assume it like this. Let's say 100 clients had like opened www.google.com. So if JavaScript was like, if like, let's say it is PHP file that is working in the backend. So if 100 clients make request to the server and for something related to PHP, so what happens is PHP is running on the server side. So if 100 clients make request, all the 100 clients will be using its CPU, the server CPU. But in case of JavaScript, what happens? All the 100 clients will get different copies of JavaScript in their particular computer. So what will happen is a single JavaScript is working on a single computer. So there's no memory load, there's no lagging, there's nothing. So that's what makes JavaScript so fast. And that's why JavaScript is known as the client-side scripting language, because it is run on the client side. And that's all. There's nothing else in this to like understand why is JavaScript known as client side. So it's as simple as that. JavaScript is loaded on the client and it uses the client machine to run itself. And that's why it is known as a client-side scripting language. Hope everyone is clear. Can you tell me in the chat, guys? Okay, am I echoing? Wait, I'll open the window. Just give me a sec.
Hey guys, in the meantime, like so this is coming back quickly. So what is this? There is one question on your screen. I mean, answer that question. Hey, answer that question. What is there on the screen? I mean, what do you mean by client-side programming language? Client-side language. What is that? Which company introduced JS? Okay, if at all you want to know that thing, sir will be like taking that whole history and all today. To wait for that. Okay, so this running script is JavaScript on the client device, which usually within a browser. So someone has mentioned it up. Okay, so now yes, sir is back. So now we will be like taking up this question. So yes, sir, you can go ahead and people are answering your question. These quick questions from your whole session.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible, but can you be bit? I don't know. I mean, it's being like currently a little bit shadowed. Your voice is getting like muffled up. I don't know what's happening.
Now is it audible? Is it audible now?
Yes. Now it is audible. I think that's the mic placement.
Maybe my mic is a bit low in my.
Okay, so we will. Yes.
Am I audible now?
We will get it sorted. Yes. Now we can go ahead.
Okay, that's
Chal.
fine.
Okay, so
yeah, everyone is giving answers. That's amazing. Everyone knows about it. Yeah, user side. That's perfect. It's perfect. So previously, JavaScript was only known as a client-side scripting language because it was working only with web. So now one more thing, like when I say JavaScript, like when someone asks what is JavaScript, people actually say that it is like a client-side scripting language. So now it is like now you know why it is called as a client-side scripting language. The second thing is when people ask what is JavaScript, you can also answer them like what JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. You can also answer it like this, and this is the most proper answer. Like client-side scripting language is basically a category that JavaScript falls in, but that's not what JavaScript does. That's just a category that JavaScript falls in, that I'm a client-side language. But what JavaScript actually does is basically it is a DOM manipulation language. It helps you to manipulate the DOM. Now, basically, like to understand what is DOM manipulation, first you have to understand what is DOM. Fine. So when I say DOM, I'll use a notepad to write everything so that you can see what I'm writing, full forms and everything. So when I say DOM, DOM basically stands for Document Object Model. What is it? Like when you hear it, like it sounds something scientific, something like I don't understand what is this. So basically, what is a document object model? Let's assume you have an HTML document. Let's assume you have an HTML document like this. Say you have
So just a small this thing. Can you just zoom it out? Can you just zoom it out? I mean, there are like
The
requests.
font size.
Yes, yes, yes. Font size.
Okay.
This
Actually, I
control.
just
Uh,
so it's
control.
not control here because I'm just getting introduced to Ubuntu.
अच्छा in that go to that activities वाला वो जो activities के बाजू में like text editor वाला है ना शायद उसमें drop down में शायद आएगा. Unless you can write it down in your slides itself
Yeah,
something
yeah. I'll write it down there only.
like Google
Yeah,
Doc something.
yeah.
Actually ये भी थोड़ा नहीं क्या we need to I mean zoom it out also this thing. So
This thing.
that yes yes I mean even the PPT because students were not able to see that the coolest language which you have written there right.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
okay that part like you do control minus minus so this will get extended control minus minus it's like
I think I got minus. I think something
control
is.
yes yes now it will even increase more control
Is it
minus
fine
minus
now?
uh,
Can you see the coolest language in the world?
yes yes I can see that right now I can see that okay so yes okay sir and okay sir now we can actually go ahead and use Google Doc I mean docs dot this thing now Google this part actually for writing purpose so what will happen is these guys can now it is absolutely fine now it is
Fine now.
absolutely now it is
Something
amazing
only way to maximize the window. Yeah, I did it.
yes
Thank you so
okay
much.
yes yes yes
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to write something. So for now, I'll just exit it, and I'll use.
docs dot new dios
It's
dot
every.
new
This is the first time I'm like streaming live.
yes 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 docs dot new I mean it will get you a direct document
Yeah.
yes and don't worry guys we'll be sharing this all okay so don't worry about it we are not having these and all notes don't worry about it at all we'll be sharing this my base ppt is there I'll be sharing the link of it in
I
the
tried that.
uh,
Ganesh, I tried Control Plus. It was not working. So sorry about it.
okay so yes now it will 100% go ahead yes sir.
Is it fine?
Yes yes it's totally fine it would be amazing yes now it is amazing
Okay. So I was saying that the full form is document object model. So to understand JavaScript, this is the basis that we have to understand what document object model is. So let's assume that you have an HTML document. So you have it like this, right? You people know what is how to write an HTML document, some basic HTML, right? You have this HTML slash HTML. I'll just write it here for now. In future, we'll use a text editor, proper code editor for that. So let's say you have HTML, then you have head, like some basic HTML I'm writing. I hope everyone knows this. Then you have title, and then you have body. And let's assume for now that you also know some H1s and Ps for the basics. I'll write them also. So let's say you have an H1 slash H1, and you have P tag slash P tag. That's fine. So let's say you have an HTML document like this. So this is basically an HTML document that is understandable to us. Now, what actually happens behind the scenes when you execute this HTML document on the browser? So when you execute this on the browser has an inbuilt interpreter that is also known as DOM interpreter. What it actually does is it converts this thing, the code that you have written right here, into a tree. Now, basically, if you try to understand this as a tree, you can see that HTML here is basically a parent of all the elements. Like, this thing, the thing that I have here is also known as a tag. You people already know it. You can also call it an object. You can also call it a element. Anything, because it will create something. It will create something that holds something on your browser, that holds a position on your browser. So anything that holds a position on your browser is an element, and any element that you can see on your browser is created with a tag. That's why you can also call a tag as an element or an object, or basically a tag that you always say. Fine. So assume this as a tree diagram. So if you assume it as a tree diagram, HTML will be the parent. It will have two childs, head and body. And head will have one child, that is title, and body will have two childs, that will be H1 and P. So assume it like this. So basically that tree diagram that DOM interpreter will create for the browser is known as document object model. So basically an object model of this particular document. That is what is known. So the tree diagram, or you can say the tree structure of an HTML document is known as document object model. Is that understood, everyone? Yeah, we'll cover everything. What does it do? Don't worry about it. Just understand it from the very basics. Is it clear? The tree structure of an HTML document is known as document object model, and the browser, like you cannot see the tree structure live like a tree. I'll show you how it looks in the browser, but the browser has a DOM interpreter that converts this document in the tree structure, and the browser understands that tree structure and makes the output for you. It doesn't understand this. Is that fine, everyone? Okay, that's amazing. I can see a lot of yeses here. That's amazing. So that is DOM, the tree structure of a HTML document. That's all. So I'll open it up for writing few things in the future. So now, when I say JavaScript, the coolest language, why it is the coolest language? Like if you talk about JavaScript, like two or three of one like person asked me the question, who invented JavaScript? So JavaScript was basically a browser language at first when it started. So it was actually invented by Netscape Navigator, if you people know. The first browser to ever exist, Netscape Navigator. It's still functioning in the iOS operating systems. So that was the language. If you like, I hope you also know that Netscape Navigator invented JavaScript, and the company that is very famous, as you know, Microsoft. Microsoft is always in competition. So Microsoft was one company that like fought with Netscape Navigator and created their own manipulation language, that is JScript. So Netscape Navigator created JavaScript, and Microsoft created JScript for the competition. But after a few times, JScript was deprecated because it was not used by many. But they are still enemies with JavaScript, because if you go on Internet Explorer and run JavaScript, they will first show you like there is a blocked content. Do you want to run it? They will not directly run it. Okay, I'll go a little slow. I'll go a little slow. I'll go a little slow. Don't worry about it. Yeah, sir, write a notepad or something. I'll write it. I'll write whatever is necessary. Don't worry. These are just stories. Just little. I'll write few things like the very basic points. So I'll write the tree structure of a HTML document is a DOM. Is that fine, everyone? Fine. So I said like JavaScript is the coolest language. So I was talking about, if you see JavaScript 2 or 3 years back, it was basically just a DOM manipulation language. I'll explain what is DOM manipulation in detail in like coming times, but today, like just for knowing it, just understand JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. But so a few years back, it was only a DOM manipulation language, but now if you see JavaScript, it has evolved a lot. It is like evolved immensely, humongously, and now it has become a beast of a language. So now what you can do is the basics first. It will it will help you to make web pages dynamic. That is basically what DOM manipulation is. I'll explain you like how these are connected, manipulating DOM and making web pages dynamic. I'll explain you how they both are connected. Now there are few more things that JavaScript can do now that like it was not doing before. That it was like, so it was only considered a basic language, but now it is a very big language because it can do all these things that I've written down here. It will help you create mobile apps, native and hybrid. And I'll explain you what do you mean by native for people that don't know. I'll explain you what is mean by native or what is meant by hybrid. But just for now, just listen it. Just try to get it. So it will help you create creation of mobile apps for iOS and Android. It will also help you to create AR and VR apps, that is augmented reality and virtual reality app. It is also used to create web servers. And it nowadays, like in previous days, it was all like considered as a client-side scripting language. But nowadays, you can also write server-side code with JavaScript, and I'll explain like how it is done and everything. So you can write server-side code. You can also create APIs. I'll explain everything in detail. Don't worry about it. You can also perform machine learning and data structures with JavaScript. So if you see, There are a lot of languages that perform a lot of things, but they have limitations. But by seeing this, you can see that JavaScript is basically limitless. It can do anything that any other language can do. Like if Java can create backend, JavaScript can create backend. If you can write data structures in C++, JavaScript in JavaScript you can also write data structures. If you can do machine learning with Python, you can also do machine learning with JavaScript. So like the possibilities are limitless. So there's no worries about JavaScript futures. It is just extending and extending and extending. So that's all about it. So to start with this, like in this particular course, we are not going to do anything like creating mobile apps or building web servers or writing. I'll just explain what it is. But in all this course, we are just going to learn how JavaScript is basically used to manipulate the Google. Okay, someone is asking how JS different than Python. Okay, like these are two languages that do a lot of things. First of all, so there are like syntactically they are like everything is different. The only thing that JavaScript right now does not do is it doesn't work with machines directly. But in that case, Python works with machines. So Python can do a lot of things. Hi, there's one people that have read Python plus Java is JavaScript. You can say that, but there are a few things that Java does that JavaScript does not does yet, but it will surely do in future. Fine, fine, fine. That's amazing. So these are all the possibilities that JavaScript can do. Now let's get back to understanding what actually this do manipulation means. Like now we know what is document object model. Now we know what is do. Now let's understand what JavaScript actually does. Fine. So let's say I have to write that code thing again here. So let's say you have a very basic. Okay, I'll introduce you with my code editor first, so you can see what it does. So the code editor that I'll be using in throughout the course will be this VS Code, as you can see as you can see it on my screen. It's a free code editor provided by Microsoft that can be used by everyone. It is one of the most famous code editors around the world because it has a lot of features. This is opening. Okay. So this is how it looks at first. A very basic VS Code section. Okay. So if you want to, like if you have downloaded it already, you can use it, or if you want, you can just search for VS Code download, and you can just download it from here. It's available for every platform, Linux, it's available for Mac, it's available for Windows. So you can just go on, download it from here. I hope you can see my screen. I think YouTube streaming is a little late. Yes, you can do it with Atom. Okay, there's no problem at all. If you want, you can use VS Code. If you want, you can use Atom. If you want, you can use Sublime Text. If you have Visual Studio, you can use it. You can use any editor, not a problem. But just for sake of like you're with me always, you're like not getting any stuff here and there, you can use VS Code so you can work with it. Any editor will work. Yes, exactly. Yes, you can do it in Notepad++. That's totally fine. Not a problem at all. You can do it anywhere. It's not a very strict thing that you have to use some particular thing. So you can do it anywhere. Okay. So I'll be using this. So if you don't have it, just please download it and install it. And I hope you have already installed it. So it will look something like this at start. So what I'll do is I'll create a folder for this particular batch. So I'll just go on my desktop. I'll create a new folder. So I'm basically using Ubuntu. You can use any operating system. It's basically same. You can just go on, create a folder or do anything. So I'll just create a folder called JS lectures. Fine. So I want to open that folder in my VS Code so I can always access it. So File, open folder, and it's on my desktop. It's JS lectures. Okay. Yes, you can use it. Okay. If you can see now. Okay, what do you want me to zoom it? What do you want to zoom? I think my editor is already zoomed now. It's already Zoom, right? Excuse me, Sai sir, can you help me in this? Like people are asking me to zoom my editor. It is already full screen. Yeah, I'll increase the font for sure. Don't worry about it. I'll increase the font for sure. Fine. I thought my editor was not zoomed at all. Okay, fine. So someone is asking how to create folder and open it again. I'll show you. Like let's say you have a folder created. I hope everyone knows how to create a folder. So let's say you have a folder created. You can just go in here. There's a file option here. You can just open file, open folder, and you can just select wherever your folder is in your Windows or Mac or Linux. Just use your folder and open. So the folder will be opened here. So it will work as a shortcut for you. You don't have to go outside and come inside. Like you don't have to switch again and again. You can just use it normally. So as you can see, you have a lot of options here like this. You have this refresh. Like let's say if you have created something, but that's not loading here, you can just refresh the directory. But that is very rarely used. There's this option for new folder. So if you click on this option, you have a feature to create a folder inside your JS lectures folder. But we are not going to use that for now. And then you have this option that we are going to use like a lot of times. It is new file. This is basically used to create a file. So I'll just click on it. You can see a pop-up has come here. So I'll just name it like index.html. Yeah, I'll definitely zoom the font. Don't worry about it. I hope you can see my font now, everyone. Yeah, don't worry. Visible? Fine. Okay, that's amazing. So I want you people to install few extensions in your VS Code. That I'll show you what are the extensions. So if you go on this tab right here, the like 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth option here, this is basically for extensions. So you can just click on it and you can search for few extensions that will help you in writing code and running it. So I want few things that I want you to install. There's something called as live server I want you to install. I'll explain what it is. So it's this. It's by Ritwik Day. I have already installed it. You have to install it. It's by Ritwik Day. If you have not installed it, you'll have an option here to install it. So just write it down somewhere. Just note it down. You have to install live server by Ritwik Day, which will help you to run your applications. This is one. And then the next thing you have HTML, CSS. So I want to install this HTML, CSS support by ECML. It will help you to write HTML and CSS code. Okay, man, we'll sort it out. Sorry, we'll sort it out. So I want you to install this HTML, CSS support by ECML. And the third thing that I want you to install is basically a JavaScript support that will help you to write some JavaScript code. Okay, just wait. Yeah, you can install this. Even I have not installed it, you can install this JavaScript ES6 code snippets. I'll just install it. I'll just show you how to install it. So just press install, and that's all. It is installed. That's totally fine. And one last thing that I want you to install for writing some amazing code is just take some time and set up everything so you can write. Okay, I want you to install this prettier code formatter. So whenever you write some code, you always want to look good. You always want to like format it so that you can understand it, and most importantly, anyone else that reads your code can understand it. So I want to install this prettier code format by Prettier. Here it is. So I'll again install it. Yeah, it's an editing. It's not, guys. It's not an OS extension. It's just an editor extension. It will only work with this editor. That's all. No. Sublime has all these features by default, like the basic MonoPy theme and everything. If you want, there's other way how you can install it in Sublime. Now these extensions are not necessary, but these will help you to write a better code. That's all. So you can become like a little fast and everything. You can see it here, man. You can see it here only. You can just, whatever you've installed, you can just search and see. You can just search that you have installed. So now you can see, when you open it, the installed everything, you can see it here. I've installed a lot of things because I work with a lot of things. But for now, for JavaScript development, you need only that 4 things that I've told you right now. So I hope everyone is clear. Yes, you can use Notepad++. Okay then. So as everything is installed, I'll write some basic HTML code here. So now I'll see when I've installed everything, the extensions. If I write HTML, and if you now see, to get this highlighted syntax, like whatever you want to use. So we are working with HTML5, and I assume everyone knows what is HTML. I'll just click on this HTML5, and here you go. You get a very basic HTML code, a very basic HTML structure. Yes, Angular JS and JS are very different. I'll explain everything, don't worry about it. So this is a very basic HTML code. I hope everyone knows HTML here. Okay. Now let's try to run it with live server. So there are 2 ways. Like one is you can run it live server, and for the people whose live server doesn't work, what we can do is we can run it without live server also. But there's just only one thing that you have to do. You have to just refresh your pages again and again. That's all, and that's not a mess. You can do it normally. That's fine. Refreshing your page is amazing. Fine. So what I'll do is I'll just right click on it, and you can see it here. Open with live server. I hope everyone can see the option. Open with live server, and this option will be only available if you have installed live server. So I'll just do it open with live server. Okay. Now you can see server is started. It's saying server is started, and you can see the output. So I'll just open it in my Chrome. Actually, it's in Mozilla by default. I'll suggest everyone to use Chrome, because if you don't have Chrome, shame on you. You have to install Chrome. Chrome is the best browser around. So please install it. So I'll just go here, paste it, and that's all. You can see the output. Like there's nothing till now because we have written no code at all. Okay, don't show again. Fine. I'll tell you what live server does. Let's say you just go here and write something like, let's say hello. Save it. Just go on your browser, and you can see it's already done. So what live server basically does is it's working with a server. So whenever you write some code, you save it, it already is reflected on your page. You don't have to go and refresh it. If you don't run it by live server, I'll show you how to run it. You can just go on the folder that I've created, like here, JS lectures, open it, you can right click and then open with any particular browser you have. In Windows, you will have having the option with open with Chrome or open with anything. Like I can do open with browser. Let's copy. My by default browser is Mozilla. I'll just close it. I don't want to use it. And you can always go in Chrome and save. The only difference is this is running via server that basically is very attentive. It knows whenever you do some changes, it by default reflects it. This is basically running like you have opened a file in a browser. This is basically you have opened a file with its parts in a browser. So what will happen now, if you just go on, change something, save it, let's see the changes, what has happened. Now if you come here again, you can see the thing that we have opened with our path has not reflected anything, but the page that is running with server has already reflected. That's all. That's what all live server does for you. So you don't have to like refresh it. It takes out one step from you and gives you like a feeling of you're working with a live server. That's all. And here you have to refresh your page to get the changes done. Yes, you can use Firefox, not a problem. But Chrome is the best because it supports a lot of things. It supports everything that JavaScript, HTML, CSS does. Yes, you can use Firefox just as an option. Is that fine, everyone? These are the two tricks that, there's one more trick that you can run your files with. You can just go on here, just right click on it, and you can just copy path. The same thing that you got from opening with. Just copy path, go inside your Chrome, open a tab and paste the path. That's all. It's all same. So when you work, like run with a live server, it's working with like this, with some address. Here it is with the open with browser. It's basically opening your path. And the second thing that you have done manually is copying your path and pasting it. Yeah, I'll explain meta. I'll explain meta for sure, for sure. So I'll let you know all the important significance of these tags. So this HTML is basically, I'll just explain it very quick. That's all. So when you talk about this doc type HTML, this is basically, you can say, a kind of documentation that helps the browser understand that this is an HTML5 document. If you remove this, now this is not an HTML5 document, this is an HTML4 document. So all the features that are like related to HTML5 will not work for this. So this basically tells the browser that this is an HTML5 document and not an HTML4 document. So treat it like an HTML5 document and give all the features to it. Now you have this HTML tag. This is basically the parent of all the elements that you have in your thing. So it basically says that, like, even if you write nothing, even if you don't write any tag in this, it will still work. But writing this will basically tell browser how to treat your web page. That's all. So HTML is basically a root that contains everything. Head is basically a section that is not shown in the browser. That doesn't have any kind of significant output on the browser, but it basically gives a lot of meaning to your page. It helps you to like give links to the pages. It helps you to basically contain extra information about the page. So this head section is basically for containing any kind of extra information about the page. As you can see, there's something called as title here. Then you have meta tags. I'll explain what meta tags are, but now for now, just understand this very basic concept. Any kind of data in this world, not only a document, any kind of data. It can be a document, it can be a text, it can be a file. Any kind of data in this world contains two important things: a head and a body. A header and a body, you can say. Head is basically for the extra information about the document, and body is basically for the actual data. That's all. In any kind of data in this world, head is basically for containing any extra information, like any information about the data that is inside the body section of your data thing or anything, any file. So that's all. Head is basically for any kind of extra information, any kind of information related to this particular file, related to this particular code that you'll write. Body is for containing the actual information that you want. That's all. And as I said, head is for containing any information about the data, about your file. So that's what meta is. Now, basically, let's not directly get into meta. Let's understand what is something called as metadata. So metadata is information about data. Let's say you have a file, you have a book, and there is a lot of content written inside a book. Fine. So on the cover page, you have the name, like you have the author name written. You also have written what is the content inside, when it was published, when it will expire, and everything. So basically, the actual content is inside the book, but something extra information about that content is written on its cover or on its backside. So that extra information is known as metadata. Exactly, meta also helps in SEO. I'll explain that also. So that's all. That's what metadata is. Any extra information about the actual data or the actual file or the actual content is metadata. Is that fine, everyone? Yes, it's data about data. That's amazing. Is it clear, everyone? Do you understand what is metadata? Yeah, that's amazing. Fine. So the meta tags do exactly same here. Let's say you have some extra information about this particular web page. Let's say you have some information like the width of this web page, Let's say you have some information about the keywords of this web page. Let's say you have some information about the content of this web page. So if you want to write anything extra information about this web page, you can create a meta tag and you can write inside the content attribute. And I'll show you few of the meta tags in future. But right now, these are by default. That basically says the character encoding I'm using in this page to write this code is UTF-8. Like there are two meta tags that are basically explaining the browser about the two extra features about this web page. That is the character set that I'm using for this particular web page, the character encoding about this web page is UTF-8. And the second says basically, the second information says that browser should understand that whatever width I'll use in future, whatever width I'll use, it should always be considered as device width. It should always be the device width. And by default, the initial zoom should be 1. That is the by default zoom of the page. Yes, it is important. Yes, it is important. Metadata is very important. That's how the browser, that's how the search engine understands your page, because it contains the extra information. So these are two extra informations right now that are present in your page. Am I audible? Okay, fine. So these are currently the two extra information on your page. So in future, if you want some like extra information about keywords, extra information about related to sizes, you can also create some new meta tags and do it. But for practice purposes, meta tag is not at all important. It's totally fine. But I'll just keep it because it is by default given. I don't have to write it. Is that fine? So meta is basically a short form for metadata. That's all. And the title tag here is basically what refers to this in your browser, this particular thing, the title that you have on your tab, as you can see here. It's document here because I have written document there. If I just go and write my first web page and save it, remember to save it every time. Save should always be your hands. Save it and just go, and you can see here my first web page. Here you have to refresh it to see. As you can see, I'll just close this one and also close this one. I hope you understood the difference between copying the path and using the live server. So this is the, now you know how this Google is written. Now you know how this JavaScript lectures is written, like all on the web pages. That's all. I hope everyone is clear now. Yes, there are plugins that autosave. But I'll suggest you not to use them, because it's always fine to be sure, because when you work with a lot of content, when you work with a very big code of web page, you like sometimes there are a few changes that are not saved. So I'll not suggest you to use autosave. Always use your own saving thing. That is always better. You actually are very sure about saving them. So I hope everyone is clear till now. Fine. So now I have this page running in my browser. Now I'll show you how browser interprets this particular page. So to see that how browser is interpreting this page, how browser is taking this page, you can just right click and go to inspect. That's basically you're opening the developer tools of your browser. Just give me a second. Yes, I hope you can see now. So this is what is opened in the browser. So when you right click and press inspect, this is what it is open. So now here in elements, you can see how the browser is treating your web page. Now there are like people who think, yeah, there are coders who think this code is exactly same as this code. But you should always know this is the code, the editor code that you have written. And this is the code that browser has understood from yours. So sometimes there can be a thing like there is something that you have missed. There is something that you have missed that browser always wanted. There's some tag that you have missed. So browser will add it. So this is basically the code that browser has understood. There can be sometimes that you have put something that is not necessary. So browser will automatically remove it. So this is the code that the browser has understood. So you can say that this is the tree structure of your document. This is the DOM. Like this is not actually looking like a tree, but you can see there are branches. You have head, you can open it and see what inside it. You can have body, you can open it and you can see what is inside it. So these are everything. This is how the browser, this is how the server understands your code. This is what it is. Is that fine, everyone? So we'll be looking a lot in this in future. And then second thing is here is a console. A console is basically, you can say, it is a command prompt for your browser. It is a command prompt for your browser. That's all. Just like a command prompt you have for Windows, you can write commands and do everything in your PC. Just like you have a command prompt in your Linux system, just like you have a command prompt in your Mac system, where you can write commands and operate your PC. Same thing. This console is basically the command prompt of JavaScript, where you can write commands. Now, to write commands, you always have a language. Like in Windows, when you write commands, there is the English language. Though you use the English language like mkdir or like cd to change directory. So this is basically the command prompt of the browser, and the only language to use in this command prompt is JavaScript. So basically, the language of the command prompt of the browser is JavaScript. So this is not only for writing commands. This will help you in a lot of things. You can write some short JavaScript codes here. If you have some errors in your JavaScript code in your web page, you can also see it here. So this console will help out throughout your web development cycle. It always helps you. You can write some short codes. You can see some short data outputs. If let's say if you want to see some data, but you don't want to disturb, let's say you have a website, you want to see some data, and you don't want to disturb your web page, you can see it here in the side. You can also see the errors and everything. So this is basically it, the console. So for right now, we're just going to like use two things, elements and console. If we get some time in future, if we get some things in future, we will also see this sources, network and everything. Like they do a lot of things. But for now, elements and the most important, console. Because in our first few lectures, 2 or 3 lectures, we'll be only working with console here. Okay, fine. That's amazing. Fine. So I told you that JavaScript is basically a DOM manipulation language. And now, as you know, like what is DOM, let's try to understand what is basically DOM manipulation. So let's assume it like this. This is the tree structure. So let's say you have H1 in your tree. Let's say you have a hello, a P in your tree. You have a by, just writing some random data for now. So now I'll just show you an example. Don't take it as a teaching of JavaScript. I'll just show you an example. So I'll write some JavaScript code just to give you an example what actually DOM manipulation means. So now this is your DOM that basically is giving you this output. So understand, this is your DOM, the right side of it. This is your DOM, and this is the output. And JavaScript has the ability to manipulate the DOM. Now, when I say manipulate, what does actually manipulate means? Manipulate means you can add something, you can update something, or you can delete something. That's all. That basically means, now when I say DOM manipulation, what happens? You can add an element in the DOM, you can remove an element from the DOM, or you can update any content inside an element from the DOM. So you can add, update, or remove, or work on any kind of element in your DOM. That is DOM manipulation, and that's what JavaScript does on the web. And you can see that I'm specifying it now. That's what JavaScript does on the web, because in previous time JavaScript was only working with web, but in current time JavaScript is everywhere. So I'll specify it. That's what JavaScript does on the web. So I'll show you a little example of how JavaScript works. So if you don't understand it, that's totally fine. I'll make sure, but for now I'm just showing you how it works. So you can see there's a h1 tag here, and it's like hello. What I'll do, I'll use JavaScript to change its content. I'll use JavaScript to change its content. And for now, I'll write my JavaScript here. So what I'll do is, I'll write document. If you don't understand it, don't worry. I'm just showing what JavaScript does. That's all. Document dot get elements by tag name h1 0 inner text. Can you see it here? I have changed a content of a particular element inside the DOM. Can you see it here? There was an hello inside the H1, and I've changed it to heya by using JavaScript. If you don't understand that line of code, please don't worry about it. I'm just showing you what JavaScript does. That's all. Okay, I'll zoom it for you. Okay, if you don't see it, I'll zoom it. I hope it is visible now. So I have written a very basic JavaScript code that manipulated my H1 tag. Basically got the H1 and changed its content dynamically. And when I say dynamically, that basically means I didn't even refresh the page. The page was as it is. I just write some JavaScript code and it changed my structure. It changed something in my DOM, and that's all. Don't worry about this code. This is basically a JavaScript code. I'll teach you how to do it. Just understand it for now. I use some kind of JavaScript and I change the content inside my DOM. Is that clear, everyone? That's what JavaScript does. It basically manipulates the DOM. So again, I'm repeating, manipulating the DOM means inserting anything in the DOM, we'll see everything. Inserting something in the DOM, inserting an element dynamically, deleting an element, or updating an element. The thing that I did right now was updating an element. I just changed. Is it clear to everyone? We'll see everything what JavaScript does. And when I say dynamically, that basically means on the go. That basically means you didn't have to do like change in the code, save it, and come here and refresh it to see. That was basically a normal change. When I say dynamically, that basically means I changed it on the go. It's already working. It's already live. There's nothing changing in the code. I just did it somewhere else and it just changed. That's what dynamically means. Changing on the go. Yes, you can do anything by ID, by class build. I'll teach you everything. I'll teach you everything. Don't worry about it. Is that clear, everyone? That's what JavaScript does. That's what DOM manipulation in a nutshell means. That's fine. Don't worry, I'll explain it. Everyone is asking why I have used that array symbol and 0. I'll explain it. Don't worry. I told you that if you don't understand it, just don't try to like force to understand it. I'll explain it. I'll explain everything. I just wrote it to show you what JavaScript actually does. That's all. I'll explain it, everything. Don't worry about it. But just for people who want to understand why I did this, so I'll just explain it like by taking 1 minute. Let's assume that you have a lot of H1s in your web page. So what happens is when you do like document.getElements by tag name H1, it will take all the H1s and it will create an array. So let's say I have 5 H1s. So when I say document.getElements by tag name H1, it will create all the 5 H1s. But then I have to specify on which particular H1 I have to work. So what happens is it will take all the H1s and will create an array. So now if an array is created, all my 5 H1s are in the array. So if I want to use the first H1, so basically the first thing in an array always has a 0 index. That's why that is the index. So document.getElements by tag name H1. So even if there is one element, the browser always creates an array. So there's one element that is inside an array that is basically okay. Is it understood, everyone? So don't worry about the code. I'll explain everything. Just leave it as it is. I'll remove this code. I'll refresh the page once. Just think we have done nothing yet. I just wanted to show what DOM manipulation actually means. Don't force it at all. Yes. If you're working on the web, you should know HTML before learning JavaScript. It is important because, as I said, JavaScript is a DOM manipulation language. So to create the DOM, you should know HTML. Then after that, you can manipulate it. You cannot manipulate the DOM without creating the DOM. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, sure. Let's go. Fine. So for today's lecture, let's write some JavaScript. Let's start with some JavaScript as you have understood what JavaScript is. So I'll explain a few more things about JavaScript, like what it actually contains, what like makes JavaScript different from everything else. Now, when I say JavaScript, JavaScript is a language which is working with web. And it has two important things, two very important things. First thing, that it has all the programming controls that any other language has. It has all the programming controls. Okay. That it has all the programming controls that any language has. Like if you have ever learned C, if you have ever learned Python, if you have ever learned, let's say C++, anything, you will know like there is a concept of variables, there is a concept of loops, there is a concept of conditional statements like if and everything. So everything that is in the other language is also in JavaScript. So JavaScript supports not all, but almost everything that a programming language has. Second thing, so first thing is this, it contains, like I'll just write it somewhere so that you can see it properly, so that you can, okay, I just close my docs, just give me a second, I'll just open it again. Just a second. Okay, I'll just open that document again. Okay, as you can see. So this is just a rough page that I'm writing in, don't worry about it. So the first thing that I said was, it contains all the programming controls. I'll just not write all, for your clearance, almost all. The programming controls that I mentioned, like variables, conditional statements, loops, arrays, and everything. And the second thing is, it was made to manipulate the DOM. JavaScript was made to manipulate the DOM. So basically, it contains a bunch of objects, inbuilt objects that will help you to manipulate DOM. Now I'll explain in very detail about objects, about how it works and everything. But just understand these few things. JavaScript has all the programming, almost all the programming controls that any other language has. So basically, it helps you in writing programs. And second, it has a lot of inbuilt object that will help you to manipulate the DOM, because that is its important work. JavaScript is actually made for DOM manipulation. So it has all the inbuilt objects that you need to manipulate the DOM. So these are the two things that you have in JavaScript. So for today's session and like for 1 or 2 sessions, we'll be learning everything that JavaScript has as a programming control. Everything, how to create variables in JavaScript, how to write loops in JavaScript, how to create arrays, how to access them, how to use them, everything. If you have some basic programming knowledge, that will be amazing. If you don't have, don't worry about it. I will go in very normal, very slow pace. And then after that, once we complete working with all the programming controls, we'll see what are the inbuilt objects that will help you to manipulate the DOM, how to use them, what are the different types, how to use them properly and everything. And then in future, we'll see how to mix them. Or I'll not write objects, I'll write programming plus DOM manipulation. This is the best thing that we want to do in JavaScript sessions. So in 1 or 2 lectures, we have to learn this. Then after 1 or 2 lectures, we'll learn this. And then after that, we'll understand how to work with this. Programming plus DOM manipulation. Yes, that can be permanent. Yes, if the code is written statically somewhere, that will be permanent. This is a question asked by Valen. If it is written in a JS file, it will be permanent. Yes, it will be permanent. Okay, so these are basically, you can say, the topics that we're going to learn. So like the top, I've not mentioned the topics, but I've mentioned the concepts that we're going to learn here. So let's just start with some basic JavaScript for today. So now, if you want to write some JavaScript in your code, what you can do is, you can just go inside your head section. Just please listen to me carefully. You can just go inside your head section. You can just open and close a script tab. And you can start writing your JavaScript here. Now this area, between opening and closing script, is basically the area where you can write everything, every JavaScript that you ever need. Fine. Just for some basic knowledge, I'll show you how to print something in this console. I'll show you, like, whenever you learn a language, whenever you start learning a language, you basically learn the first thing is how to print anything on your web page, or how to print anything in the console, or how to print. So when you learn C first, you learn how to print, how to use printf. When you learn C++, you learn how to use cout. Exactly same. When we're learning JavaScript, the first thing that we're going to learn is how to print something on the console. That's all. So let's just do it. So what I'll do is there's an inbuilt object that helps you to work with the console. Listen to me very carefully. There is an inbuilt object. There is an inbuilt JavaScript. Exactly. There is an inbuilt JavaScript object that helps you to work with the console, and that object name is console. This is the object, and this object has a function that you can call. There's something called as log. Log basically means write something. So console.log. Remember to put semicolon, because like that's what most programming language does. It basically marks an end to your statement. That's not. Now one more thing I want to tell you. A semicolon is not technically important in JavaScript. You can also write JavaScript code. I'll use external JavaScript buddy. Don't worry. You can also write your code without using a single semicolon. That's totally fine. But it also supports semicolon, and so as a lot of language does. But in a lot of language, semicolon is mandatory. So I'll suggest you to always use semicolon, because that will not break your habit to write semicolons. That will also like keep your habit to write semicolons, because JavaScript is not the only language that you'll always learn. There are a lot of languages that you'll learn. So keep practicing writing semicolons. So console.log, and I'm putting up a basic string here. So I'll just write hello from the console. Save it. See, when I save it, my code is already formatted. This is happening by the Prepare plugin that we installed few minutes back. If I go in my browser, you can see a message in the console. Hello from the console. So this is what console.log does. That's all. You can see. So we are going to use console.log a lot of times, because we want to print a lot of things in the console. So so this is the thing. Console is an object that helps you to work with the console. Log is a function that basically helps you to write anything on the console. So that's all. Console.log and what we're going to write. So remember this function. Yeah, the function of the log. Log is the function that helps you to write. Console is the object that basically represents the console, and log is the function that basically helps you to write anything. It's a function that actually writes on the console. So console.log. Control S, shortcut key for save, Control S. Now there is one important, very important thing that I want to tell you is whenever you're writing JavaScript internally. Now when I say internally, means whenever you write JavaScript in the same page as your HTML page. That means whenever you write JavaScript in the HTML page, you can write it in head, but remember, just don't write it in head. There's no problem in writing it, but what actually happens when you write it in head? So now listen to me very carefully. When you load a HTML page on the browser, the execution goes from top to bottom. Fine. So when it is going from top to bottom, let's assume there is some content in your body. There is some tag in your body. Let's say there's some H1. Fine. And you have written some code for that H1 in your JavaScript above it. So there is an H1 down here. There's a lot of code. Actually, there's a lot of code. And after that, there's an H1. Fine. And you have written some code in JavaScript. Let's assume it. You have written some code in JavaScript that basically works on this H1. Now, what will happen is when the page is loaded, this JavaScript will be executed first, and after that, the H1. So let's say there is some internet issue and the page is very slow. So what will happen is this JavaScript will get executed even when the H1 has yet not appeared, because the net is slow. Because the net is slow, the H1 has yet not appeared in the page because it is working very slow. But JavaScript was written first, so it will load first and it will already work. So whatever you have written for that particular H1 it will not be done. So basically, writing script above your HTML code always will cause some kind of loading issue if the internet is slow or if the browser is slow. So whenever you're writing internal JavaScript, always remember to put your script at the end of the body tag. So not after body, but like all your HTML code goes here. And after that, where your HTML code ends, you write your script. Is that clear, everyone? So whenever you're writing internal JavaScript, always remember to put your code down here. That's all I want to say. So never do this. So if someone tells you like it is for security purpose to write your script in your head, it's not that all. There's no security in your head. Remember that thing. Fine. You have to always write it down because of the loading issues. And now let's assume one more thing. You have to write a lot of JavaScript code. You have to write a lot of HTML code and you have to write a lot of JavaScript code. So if your JavaScript code and your HTML code is in the same page, it creates a lot of mess. Whenever you want to change something, you have to always go up and down. You have to understand, and the HTML and JavaScript basically will jumble up for you. So whenever you have like a little, like a 2-3 lines code or just a simple function, you can write it down here. You can write it in internal JavaScript. But when you know that you have to write a lot of JavaScript, or when you want to like make a clear code, always remember you can use an external JS. Now basically, when I say external JS, that basically means there is a complete whole file created for JS only. So there's one file where you always write HTML, and there is one file where you always write JS. And that JS will work for this HTML with the help of a link. You have to link both the pages, because then the JS file will be different and the HTML file will be different. Then you have to link both the pages so that the JS understands for which particular HTML I have to work. So now let's just see, before the doubt session, how to create an external JS file and how to link with it and how to run it. So let's just understand that. So I'll just go here. I'll do a new file and just write index.js. So you can name it anything. I'm just naming. I'll show you how to link index.js. I created a JS file. Now this file is completely for JS. This file here is completely for JS. So what I'll do is I'll just copy you don't have to write script tag here. In your HTML, you return script tag because you have to specify that this is a JavaScript area. But here you have mentioned that this page is a JS file. So this page is basically a JS file. You don't have to write any script tag to show it that you have to write JS. So you can write code directly. So I'll just pick my console.log from here. I'll just cut it from here and paste it here. Save it. Don't forget to save. And now let's see how to link file. And I'll also show like what happens before linking. If I don't link, I have a JS file and I have a HTML file, right? And in my JS file, I have basically logged something in console. Now let's just go here and you can see there's no output in a console, because for this particular HTML, there's no JS. There is a JS file, but that has not yet been linked with my HTML. So let's see how to link your JS file and your HTML file. So again, come down, write your script tag. And your script tag, there's an attribute named src that basically stands for source. Remember src. Some people write scr and make a mistake. Write src and then the file name. I'll also show you if your JS file is in some folder what to do. But just for now, remember my both files are in the same folder, so I can directly give the file name. So save it, save both the files. Now you have made 2 files. So if you make any changes, you have to save both the files. So if you make changes in HTML, save your HTML file. If you make changes in JS, save your JS file. Always remember to save everything. Save. Now you can see hello from the console. Is that clear, everyone? So now we have created an external JS and linked within my HTML page. And this is how the linking is done. Yeah, few people are writing document.write. Remember, document.write is used to print something on the document. here on your web page, and console.log is used to print something on the console. Now the difference is you cannot use document. You should not, like, it's not like you cannot use. You should not use document.write because on the web page you already have your website. There will be output. There will be images, text, and everything. So if you write document.write, it will basically put something in your web page that will like make a mess of your web page. It will like fill some content. It will put something. If you can handle it, that's very perfect. But I'll suggest don't use document.write because it prints everything on your document. That will basically mix it up with your HTML, with your already existing web page. So try to always use console.log for the messages. Don't use document.write. Yes, you can write outside the body tag, but that's just not the standards. Like in HTML, you can do anything, but the most important thing is you have to always follow standards. And these standards are made by W3C, World Wide Web Consortium. It's an authority that looks out for all the standards for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And you have to follow the standards. There is no error in HTML because it's not a programming language. HTML is not a programming language. It's basically a markup language. There is no error. You can write anything and you'll get the output. But you always have to follow the standards. Because if you don't follow the standards, you'll not get any error. But the search engines like Google and everything will say that you're a manipulated page, you're a malfunctioned page. So you have to always like go with the standards of W3C. And I'll in the all the course flow, I'll let you know what are all the standards, the basic standards that you have to follow. So you do anything, you will get the output. But the most important thing is you always have to follow the standards of W3C. The console is not for the user. Someone is asking how will the user see. The console is not for the users. It's always for you. Console is not for the users. User only sees your website, and I'll also show you how to show your messages if you want to show it to the user in your particular web page. Don't worry about it. But remember, console is not for the users. Like no user in the world, I think 90% of people visiting websites don't even know what the console does. They don't even know what inspect element does. So don't worry about it. Console is only for you. Okay, Sai sir, am I audible to you? Can we start the doubt session? Can we take 10 minutes for the doubt?
So we can start the doubt session.
Hello?
No issue. Yes, sir. We can start the doubt session. No issues.
Okay. That's amazing. Yeah, console is for developers. That's amazing. Yes. Console is for developers. You don't like console is for your messages. Let's say if you want to see what is the output for something, if you want to see what is going behind some scenes, you can see it in the console. Because if you change anything on the web page, it will always be visible to the user. So you don't want that thing. You don't want to make the mess of your well-designed web page. That's why you'll use everything, you view everything on the console. They are temporary, buddy. They are temporary. Console messages are temporary. Don't worry about it. Like this is again, I'm saying web page is only for your users output, not for your output. Like you can also see on the web page, but I'll just suggest don't do it on the web page. Always do it on your console. Console is exactly. Console is like a rough work. Exactly. That's a pretty great example. It's just like a rough work. It helps you to calculate, to see what is going behind the scenes. Yes, we'll do some small projects. Don't worry about it. jQuery versus React.js, buddy, both are different things. Like both are libraries, but jQuery is basically closely related to JavaScript, and React.js is basically a user interface framework. So both work differently. No one is better. Both are used in a website. So it is compulsory to learn jQuery. It's important. It's important to learn jQuery. It's not compulsory, but it's important. It's very important. Without jQuery, you can make website, but then you have to like a lot of JavaScript code. But if you know jQuery, you can shorthand a lot of JavaScript code. Yes, I'll teach you complete JavaScript, the complete batch. jQuery versus, again, I'm saying jQuery, React.js, you cannot compare them. Both work differently. React.js is a user interface framework to make user interfaces, and jQuery is basically, you can say, a plugin that is used to shorthand few JavaScript things. It gives you animations and effect and everything. So we can say console is like a comment that we do in programming lines. Yes, exactly. But it's not actual comment, it's live. Comment is basically when you put it on your code that any other people can see. Console is like, let's say if you're doing something, but if you want to see what's going behind the scenes, you can print it out and see there. Difference between varieties of like React, JS, Node.js. I'll explain everything, don't worry. When we finish JavaScript, I'll explain what is Node.js, what is React.js, and what are AngularJS, and what are the possibilities that you can perform. Yes, basically React DOM works different. React creates its own virtual DOM. So that is something different. So React is a framework that creates its own virtual DOM that helps like React to work with itself. So that is different. That will learn when we learn React. Don't worry about it. Now the thing that we saw today, that is the actual DOM. Okay, I explained Meta. Meta is basically to show some kind of extra information to the browser. Like whatever extra information you have for the web page, like how to pick it, how to pick its width, or how to, let's say, what are the keywords that your web page should have for it to get searched. You can always specify meta tags. So whatever extra information you have about your web page, you can always put it in your meta tags. So meta tags are made for that, for any kind of extra information you want the browser you want the search engine to understand about your web page. You can put it in that. There is no need to write in console, but console helps you a lot. Okay, so I'll tell something about JavaScript ES6. So basically, ES6 is the current version that is going on for JavaScript. So it has few changes that we'll see in the course what ES6 has. So don't worry about it. I'll explain what is the difference between ES6 and the previous ES5 on JavaScript. Yes, all HTML elements are child of DOM, not DOM of the HTML. DOM is the complete structure. So everything is inside the DOM. We'll learn a lot of JavaScript, not very simple JavaScript, a lot of JavaScript. Yes, you can run JS with SCSS. SCSS is basically a replacement for CSS, not for JS. So that's totally fine. You can write SCSS and you can also use JS. Yes, React JS DOM is also manipulation of HTML tag. Exactly. React creates a DOM for itself that is known as virtual DOM. So that is how that framework works. jQuery is mandatory to learn React. No, it's not mandatory, but if you know, it will help you to understand React way better. Don't worry about the explanation of this frameworks and everything. I'll tell you everything. Ask some actual coding doubts. Let's see what are the doubts we have. Virtual DOM basically means a copy of DOM, ma'am. A copy of that actual DOM. That basically helps you not to refresh the actual DOM and again. It's nice like whatever changes you have, you can just change it in the virtual DOM and put it on the actual DOM. You don't have to refresh the actual DOM. So that basically makes the website faster. So this is not the only explanation. You have a very detailed explanation, but I can do it now. I cannot tell you the roadmap about the course, but there's a roadmap for the whole JavaScript thing. You can just go on like learning JavaScript, then you can learn jQuery, then you can go for any of the frameworks like Angular or React or Vue, and you can learn how to work with JavaScript for server side by learning Node.js. So that is the roadmap for the JS. No one can ever complete whole JS. Don't worry about it. But yes, we are going to learn a lot of JS in the next 5 days, in the 5 lectures or 6 lectures that we have. So don't worry about it. Yes, I'll teach you some basic Ajax in this JavaScript course only. Don't worry about it. How to use Ajax. Don't worry about it. A library versus framework. For now, you can just understand framework is a whole, like a very big thing, a very big collection of folders and files and a lot of classes. A library is basically something that helps a framework. So a library is basically a very small thing that has a collection of classes and functions. A framework is basically a whole setup of project which contains everything: files, folder structure, routing, and everything. So that is the difference. Library is very small. It's just basically a collection of classes and functions which helps you. Like jQuery is a library, but Angular is a framework. Understand it like this. Yes, you will understand everything, but CSS is very easy. If you want, you can learn it, Sachin. CSS, you can just complete some kind of CSS in one day. JSON is different, man. JSON is not a language. It's just basically a data format that is derived from JavaScript objects. I'll show you what is JSON. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. I hope enough how to learn HTML. There's no easy method. I'll teach you how to use HTML HTTP request. Don't worry about it. Yes, his console is used for jQuery. Yes, wherever there is browser, there is console. And whatever kind of JavaScript you're using, you can use console. Whether it is jQuery, React.js, or Angular or Node.js, don't worry about it. Okay, let's start. A lot of people are saying go ahead. Yes, I'm using Ubuntu. Yes. No, there's if you change anything on the browser, there will be no change in the editor. Editor has a static code. Please don't get confused. If you change anything on the browser or anything in your element section of your browser, there will be no change in your editor. Not at all. There will be no change. It's not a viewport tag, it's the viewport attribute. That basically Meta is saying that this particular meta tag is related to viewport. You always have to specify that meta tag refers to what. So that particular meta where you have written viewport, this meta is saying this is the extra information about the viewport. The viewport means whatever you see in the browser. This particular section, this particular screen that you have here right now is the viewport. Not clean voice. I have opened my window. When I can't open my door, you will see some noise there. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Fine. Let's start with some variables and everything. So let's get ahead. So before let's just try to understand what a variable is first. So let's just move. For today, I'll be only working with console just to show you some basic programming controls. So let's just save it. Here it is, index.js. Remove this. So let's start with the concept of variables. Variables in JS, in JavaScript. Now, let's first understand what basically is a variable. I hope a lot of people from you might be knowing what is a variable, but just for clearance, when I say a variable in any language, a variable is basically a temporary memory location. That's all. A variable is a temporary memory location which is used to store some data. That's all. A variable is a temporary memory location in your computer. That's all. That's all a variable is, and it is used to store some data. Now, when I say temporary, that basically means whenever you close the program, that memory gets cleared automatically. That's all. So that's what a variable is in any other language, in any of the language in the world. Variable is a temporary memory location. Now, I'll just show you how to just to explain variable a little more. I'll just show you how to create a variable first. So there are different techniques of creating variable in every other language. So in JavaScript, creating variable is very, very easy. It's just like this. Var. Now I'll let you know what var is. Var, then the name of the variable that you want to give. So you can just give it like name, or you can just give it like I'll say That's a name, that's all. So name is the name of my variable. And then you can just apply an assignment, this equals, and store some value inside. Let's say my name, that is sorry. What is happening here is when I write this code, what my JavaScript code will do, it will go inside my memory, it will register a block for this particular identifier. Now remember this, a lot of people think that this is a variable. Like we commonly say this is a variable, but this is not the variable. Variable is something that is created inside a computer, in your memory. That temporary memory location is known as variable. This name is basically the identifier for it. But for the short understanding, we always refer it as a variable. But this is basically the identifier of the variable. Remember this. Yeah, we'll use let and everything. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So this name is identifier for the variable. So variable is a temporary memory location, and this is the identifier of the variable through which you access that location. But for short references, we always assume like this is the variable. So we'll always talk it like that. But for like deep inside, you should know that this is not the variable. This is the identifier of the variable. The variable is the actual memory location that you registered for it. Is that clear? And this is the value of that variable. Now, let's understand what this var is. Now, please remember, like if you have seen C or C++, you might be thinking that there you do something like this. Let's say integer a equals 1. Now again here, a is the identifier of the variable, but for now let's say a is a variable. So a is a variable, 1 is the value for that, and this integer is basically the data type of the variable. Now when I say data type of the variable, that basically says what kind of data this a will store. So when I write integer, it basically shows this basically says this a can only store numeric data, integer data, and nothing else. But in JavaScript, we don't have like this, like int or float or anything. We have var. But var is not a data type. Basically, it's a data type that says that this name is of type variant. Var stands for variant. Var stands for variant, not variable. Remember this. A lot of people think var stands for variable. Var stands for variant. That basically says name is of a type variant. Fine. The data type for name variable is variant. That basically says that whatever data you fill inside name, that name will take that data type. That basically means you don't have to specify the type of the variable explicitly. You just write var, just write your variable name, and just give a value. Whenever you give in JavaScript, whenever you give a value to a variable, it picks that type implicitly, internally hota hai. So you don't have to worry about that. It happens internally. And that's why JavaScript is also known as a loosely typed language. Loosely typed. JavaScript is also known as a loosely typed language because it does not force you to specify the data type of a variable like C or C++ does. It just says you create a variable, give any data. According to the data, I'll pick the data type internally. So you don't have to specify int, float, string, boolean, or anything. Is that clear, everyone? I'll explain what is the difference between let and var. Don't worry about it. Let's just understand what is JavaScript first. Yeah, loosely typed language, not loosely coupled. Loosely coupled is different thing. Loosely typed is different. We are talking about data types and not class relations. So loosely coupled is different. Loosely variant is basically a name. Variant means that basically changes. The data type of this particular variable is variant. That basically means it can change and it changes internally. Let's say, for example, let's just try this. I hope everyone understood what is loosely typed. Now let's try console.log name. See? So what I did, I created a variable name and put Saurabh as a value, and I just console.log it. So I can see on my console. Let's go on my console. You see this? Here it is. Simple. Now let's see what is the type of name. So what you can do in JavaScript, you have a keyword named as type of. You can specify type of, space the variable name, and you can see what is the type of the variable. This Save it and see here. Can you see the type of the variable string right now? Let's try. It's exactly, you can also say that dynamically typed language, loosely typed or dynamically typed. Exactly. Now you can see the type of the variable is string, and that has been picked internally. I have not specified anything that it should be a string or something. Now let's do one thing. Let's just go and change its data from Saurabh to 1. And let's see, is the type changing internally? Save it. Go on. Is it still getting refreshed? File string. I think this is the problem with that. That's one of the problems. Yes, that's one of the problems. Okay, you saw one of the problems with VAR, so that's one of the differences that I'll tell you in some lectures. So for now, just understand it like this. So whatever kind of data you give it to your variable, it just changes its type internally, implicitly. I'll tell you why did I use let. That is the problem with var. That's why var is replaced with let in the ES6. I'll tell you right now. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Now let's try to understand the difference that you're asking. So in previous, like before ES6, there was only one thing, that is var. But in ES6, there's something that is introduced, that is let. Instead of var, you can use let. Now let's understand what is the difference and what are the advantages of let over var. In previous times, we were using var, but now you can use let. And I'll also let you know why I use let, just to check what I was doing wrong. Remember, you always do something wrong, but you always have to check to understand what you have done wrong. I'll do wrong, you'll do wrong. Don't worry about it. Let's understand the difference. Let's understand the difference. So the first and the most important difference between let and var is let is block scope. Var is not a block scope. Var is basically, var is, you can say, function scope. This is the most important difference. Let is block scope, var is function scope. Now, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? If you have ever, let's say you're writing code like this. Let's say you're writing some kind of C code, C programming code. Let's say you're writing something like this. Let's say, or a Java code. Let's say we have a function for doing something. So I'll just write function do something, right? Function do something. And let's say, please remember, if you don't know any kind of programming language, not a problem at all. I'm just showing you to understand what is a block scope. So don't worry about it. So let's say if I have a loop, fine. Or I'll make it even more simple. I'll just write a basic loop for you. If you know loops, that's totally fine. I'll write for. I'll show you with var first. I'll just comment this out. Okay, in VS Code, if you want to comment a code, just select it and press Ctrl/. That is the shortcut for commenting. And again, if you want to uncomment it, select it and again press Ctrl/. That is how you uncomment it. So Ctrl/ for commenting and Ctrl/ for uncommenting. So for where I equals 1, I is less than equal to 5, or let's say less than equal to 5, and I plus plus. And just write console.log I. Okay. Let's just remove this for now. Let's try to understand. I've written a very basic loop which basically has a variable I which starts from 1, goes till 5. That's all, and print all 1 to 5. Let's save it. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. Now, what we'll do is we'll just try to access that variable that is actually created for that loop. That I variable is actually created for that loop, but we'll try to access it outside the scope of for loop. Let's try to access this. Console.log I. Save it and check. As you can see, now I have a last element as 6. That basically it's this. See this. Now that basically means The variable that I created for the scope of this for loop is also accessible outside the loop. This is what var does. Var is not block scope, it is function scope. So inside a function, it can be accessed anywhere. Even if you create it in a block, it will go outside the block. So I created this variable for this particular block, but this is also accessible outside the block. This is only supported in JavaScript. In every other language, variables are by default block scope. So for example, in C++ or in Java, if you create a variable inside the for loop, it is not accessible outside the for loop. So this was a problem, this was the problem with var. Now let's try to use let instead of var. Let's save it. Now see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after that you have this. I is not defined. That basically means I'm unable to access I outside of that block for which I was written. Is that clear, everyone? So let basically, so what let does is, let basically treats your variable like every other programming language treats their particular variable. Var was basically completely out of place. It was function scope, it can be accessed outside the block. So there was no programming security in that particular thing. But by using let, you basically achieve the things that every other programming language has. Is that clear, everyone? So that's why throughout our course, we are not going to use var. It is deprecated, but it will take time to erase it from the world in our minds. But remember not to use var, we'll always use let from now. So I hope you understood the difference. And I also saw the problem with that. Var was always considered as string. In that case, let changes its type. So now we know how to create a variable. So it's very simple. Simple, right? Let, name, and anything that you want to put in. Like this. Simple. That's so simple. No clear? What happened, Deepak? What is your doubt? I think everyone else is clear. Any more difference between them? Yeah, okay. There's one more difference. I think I showed you in previous thing. Let's say this. Var at first is always treated as string. Let actually changes itself according to the data dynamically. That is one more difference. But the biggest difference was the scope thing. That was the biggest difference. Other than that, you can also use var. But let has the ability to actually change its type dynamically. And now there's one more keyword that has been introduced in JavaScript that was not previously there, to create constants. So if you like, you can also create constant by using this keyword, const. So I hope everyone knows what is constant, but if you don't know what is constant is basically like variable. Constants are like variable, but the only difference they have is variables can be changed over time. Like if you're writing a program, if you have some value for the variable, you can change it afterwards. But for constant, you cannot change its data afterwards. So whatever you declare inside a constant at start, it will always remain same throughout the program. You cannot change it. For example, I'll show you. Let's say I have let name equal to Saurabh, and I'll just write console.log name. You see? Fine. See this? And now let's do one thing. Let's change it in future. I'll just go right and let's say I'll write Iron Man. And now log it. Console.log name. And see now. You see? It was previously Saurabh, and afterwards it became Iron Man. Yes. But if it was to be a constant, if it was not a normal variable, it was a constant. Remember, don't ever talk it like this. There is nothing known as constant variable or variable. So never say like this name is a constant variable. Anything that is constant cannot be a variable. Anything that is a variable cannot be a constant. Either it is a constant or a variable. This name is not a variable now, it's a constant. See this. First it is Saurabh, and after that assignment to constant variable address. Matlab that basically is saying we cannot change. Constant is also, you can say, block scope, like let, just like let. Yes, it's fixed value. Perfect. Yes. So whenever you want to initialize something that you feel you will not change throughout your program, you can make it constant so that you actually accidentally don't change it. You never change it at all. If you ever try to change it, if you give you an error, you'll get notified about it. So don't worry about it. So I hope the concept of creating variables and constants is clear to everyone. Yes, we are learning ES6. We are learning ES6. Yes, var also takes it. Yes. Okay, so we are not going to use var no more. Scope of the constant is also same as let. It is block scope. And remember, constant and static are two different things. Never confuse them. Constant, static. If we get time, if we see it, I'll also explain you what is static in future. Don't worry about it. But never assume that static is constant and constant is static. There is a lot of confusion going around in the world. People always confuse. ES, full form of ES is ECMAScript. That is basically the base scripting for JavaScript. So now, normally we are not going to create any kind of data types in JavaScript, but we have to understand what are the types available in JavaScript. We have to understand that. So let us know that what are the types and what we are going to deal with. So I have it in my PPT. I'll show you. So here you go. On the third slide, I have written all the types that you have in JavaScript. Just give me a second. I'll explain everything today. So these are all the types that you have in JavaScript. You have number, you have string, you have boolean, you have null, you have undefined, you have object, and you have symbol. So I'll explain everything line by line. I think few of them you might already be knowing, but I'll just let you know everything. Let's see. So I just want to exit it. So I'll go in my docs. I'll show you what these are. So when I say number, it basically means any number that you have, like 1, 123, or let's say 3.14. Everything is a number. The number type contains all these things. Any kind of number is number. Var by default takes everything as a string. You have to convert it into a number. It changes internally. When you perform some kind of mathematical thing in that, it will always consider as a number, but it always takes everything as a string. That's a problem with that. Yeah. So number is basically any kind of number you have. It can be a decimal number, rational number, or a whole number. That's totally fine. Any kind of number is always comes under number types. There's nothing called as int or float in this. It's always number. That's the only type you have. Yes, exactly. Number is the only type for numbers. Then you have string type.
Sir, audible?
Hello, yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, we can take one or two questions more, and then we can end up the session. If they have more doubts and all, they can communicate in the community, or they can place in comment section or anywhere. So we can deal it in tomorrow session also.
Okay, that's fine. So
Yes.
Okay, let's explain this string and clear some doubts, and then we can close it. Is that fine?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So let's see only the two types for today. So we have number, that basically is any kind of number you have. Then you have string, that is basically anything inside the double quotes. Basically, a string is a collection of alphabets, or you can see a row of alphabet. You can just go on and inside double quotes you can write anything like hello there. So this is a string. In JavaScript, a string can also be in single quotes. So single quotes hello there and double quotes hello there will all work with string. So this is also a string, and this is also a string. So for today, only these two types we'll cover, and for tomorrow we'll always see everything. That null and That null and undefined are very important. We'll also see that tomorrow. But for today, these are the two types that we have here. Fine for this, and we'll see every kind of calculations, how to work with variables, and all the programming controls in tomorrow's lecture. We'll also see loops and conditional statements in tomorrow's lecture. So whatever types I have mentioned here, we'll see it in tomorrow's lecture. Don't worry about it. But the nan is not a data type. Nan is basically to show you that it's not a number. That basically means it's not a number type. So it's basically an opposite of a type. It's not a data type. It's not a type that you use. I'll explain it, don't worry. Yes, float is also a number. Yes, float is also a number. So what JavaScript ES6 has done, they have taken everything, unsigned, signed integers, then floats and everything, and converted, like they have put only one thing, that is number. Everything is a number. So that it is easy for you to understand. Difference between double equal to and triple equal to. Okay, in JavaScript, as you know, there are no types. So double equal to compares for the equality, like if they are lookalike. But triple equal to also compares the lookalike and the type. So it is strict identification. So I'll explain it just in a second. So for double equal to, for double equal to, like in JavaScript there are no types. That's why for double equal to, if I do 1 equals 1, this is true. So in JavaScript, 1 equals single quotes 1 is true in double equal to. Yes, but when you use triple equal to like this is not equal. This will give you false, because triple equal to also checks for the type. And in this case, the type of the first one is number and the type of the second one is string. So that's what triple equal to actually does. Yes, exactly, Ria. Yes, exactly. Come on, get the doubts coming in fast. Background zoom in. Are we learning object? Yes, in the end, I'll explain a bit of object-oriented JavaScript. Don't worry about it. Yes, you can use where, but I'll suggest stop using where because you have let, and that is better than that. Yeah, we'll see all the double equal to and triple equal to examples tomorrow. Don't worry about it. For sure. I'll explain you everything. I'll explain all kinds of operators. I'll explain all kinds of variable types. I'll explain how to create, how to use them. We'll also see loops, arrays, and everything tomorrow. Don't worry. Okay. Double equal to only checks, like if you can see my screen, double equal to only check for equality. So for double equal to, this thing is true. But for triple equal to, this thing is false. Double equal to only checks for lookalike. So if this is 1, this is also 1, okay, that's fine. They don't check if this is a string or this is a number. But triple equal to all checks if they are lookalike, and also checks if the type of both of the data that you're comparing are same. So for example, this is a number and this is a string. So they're not equal according to triple equal to. We can cover all the stuff. So, I don't know about all the stuff, but we'll cover most of the stuff and the most important stuff. Don't worry about it. Yes, we'll make small projects in that. Don't worry about it. So actually, we are ending today's session. So please ask your doubts, and you can also ask your doubts in the community of LetsUpgrade. Undefined, I'll explain it tomorrow. Don't worry. It's like quite complicated to just tell it very fast. I'll explain it with examples tomorrow. Undefined is basically a type that we don't give. It is given by the browser to the variable that does not have any type, that is not defined yet. So if the variable doesn't have any kind of type, it is by default undefined. It is given by the browser. Okay, that's amazing. I hope everyone understood. There are no doubts coming in right now. 1 equal to 2. It's false, man. It's false. Triple equal to, because it's 1 and 2. So it's by default false. 1 equal to 1 is nothing, because equal to is an assignment operator, but it's not a comparison operator. Equal to is an assignment operator. So the rate equal to not a string. No, it will not be a string. Don't worry, I'll clear all the confusion tomorrow. Whatever you have between var and let. Today you just understood what are the scopes that are in. Like you understood the 90% of the thing. I'll explain about var that is being actually deprecated, so you don't need to worry about it. But I'll still explain about it in tomorrow's session. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it was returning string. Yes, yes. I'll explain it. I'll explain it tomorrow. Don't worry. Hold your breath. I'll explain it tomorrow. Vasavi, yes, I'll explain it tomorrow. Type error is basically whenever you have some kind of type error. That's all. Like if you don't, like if you try to apply some kind of string function on number, it will give you a type error, because string functions are not for numbers. A lot of people are asking the full form of UTF. It is basically Unicode transformation format. It's available on the internet. Don't worry about it. It's not a thing to take in right now for you people. It's Unicode transformation format. It's basically a standard of writing some language. Currently, that is going on in the world is UTF-8. It is basically a transformation format. Yes, you can do it without var declaration. That's not a problem. Consider lot of thank you so much. Yeah, we'll share everything. Don't worry about it. We'll share everything. Okay, so there are no doubts coming in right now. Yeah, hello, sir. Sai, sir. I think there are no doubts coming in right now.
Yes, sir. Then we can end the session for today, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, that's fine.
So guys, don't forget to mark your attendance. Your attendance is important for your exam too. So mark the attendance. It is link is there in the description box. If you like the session, please like it, share it with your friends so that maximum people can get the benefit of Let's Upgrade and JavaScript Essentials. See you all tomorrow. Timings will be the same, 12 o'clock. So there is no assignment today. There is no assignment today.
Assignments today, because we have not learned that much. Tomorrow there will be
Correct.
surely assignments.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, guys. So here we are signing up. Me, Harshraj from Let's Upgrade, and Saurabh sir with me. We are signing up from the Let's Upgrade. See you all tomorrow, same time. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining me.